My man is working abroad and had a medical emergency. One very popular scam is for fake profiles to romance target victims and say they are working abroad. They often will meet you online either right before they are going abroad on a business trip, or they've met you online while they are, quote, working on a so-called contract. Many scammers try the approach of telling their target victim that they are having a medical emergency while working abroad. Some stories they try are, they're working on an oil rig in the ocean and they've had an accident where they need to be airlifted to a hospital. Working abroad building roads and bridges and there's some kind of accident and they need money for treatment or to be flown home. Working abroad and their wallet, bank card, passport, and more were lost or stolen, and they suddenly have an accident or are injured or fall sick and need money to pay for treatment. Their child suddenly becomes sick and they are stuck abroad with a frozen bank account and they need you to help by paying for a medical procedure or medication for their child. There are many other excuses, but these tend to be the go-to excuses for scammers when using a medical excuse to try and get money from unsuspecting victims. So what should you do when you come across a person who is asking you for money using one of these excuses or some excuse similar to these? First of all, no matter what the person is telling you, do not think with your heart. Scammers try to gain money from you, always tell you something tragic to pull at your heartstrings, or use an excuse of needing life-saving medication or a medical procedure is a type of scam where you feel extreme pressure to help. After all, a medical emergency can't wait. You need to make the decision right now. It's life or death, right? Not so fast. Keep in mind that people working on oil rigs in the ocean have the medical care they need. If injured, there are helicopters, life-saving devices, and medical personnel there to help. Oil rig workers do not need you to pay to be airlifted off a rig for a medical emergency. And while working on the rig, there are plenty of medical assistance available right there at no cost to the injured. People who work abroad on projects, be it building a road, a bridge, or doing any kind of business for a company abroad, are always covered. They have medical travel insurance, company access to cash, credit cards, and more. Most people who do travel abroad for business carry their medications with them, as well as everything they'll need for their trip. Much like you would if you were to travel out of the country on vacation. You would keep your medication with you. Well, business people who travel for work do exactly the same. Those who work abroad will always have access to company money. Big companies send their valued employees abroad with lots of connections, including connections inside their own country and the country they are visiting or working in if they need help. A sick child back home will always have medical care. In the United States, a simple call to 911 will ensure a sick child will be helped. Hospitals in the United States will take care of a sick child, and yes, even with a nanny or relative. The child being sick or needing medication or surgery would be looked after without you needing to send thousands of dollars in gift cards or thousands of dollars in cash. With that being said, gift cards are not used to pay for medical care. An iTunes card will not secure your medication or emergency surgery. In the event a person finds himself in a foreign country in need of help, there are embassies they can contact. If you come across someone who asks you for money because they're trapped in a foreign country and need medicine, surgery, or more, tell them you will contact the embassy on their behalf, or you will contact some local medical group and let them know what's going on. Most times scammers will either block you or come up with some excuse for you not to contact, often saying they've already contacted them, they refused help. In reality, you can seek out help. Even in the worst case scenario, there's help to be found. If a person you're talking to says that their child is sick, ask for the address of where the child is and tell them you will contact child services or contact emergency medical services in their town and send an ambulance or child protective services to help their child. If someone claims to be working on an oil rig and is injured and telling you they need gift cards or money to be evacuated, ask them the name of the company they work for and tell them you'll contact the company yourself and tell them you'll contact the U.S. Coast Guard or a respective Navy or Coast Guard in whatever country is closest to the oil rig. Put up barriers between you and the person asking for money. Give straightforward alternative options that do not involve money or gift cards. If the scammer thinks you spot the red flags, they will likely move on to someone else. Sometimes a scammer will give you the number to call of a so-called doctor, hospital, oil rig company. In reality, it'll be a phone number to a scammer or scammer's friend who will pretend to be that doctor, hospital, oil rig company, and more. Do not call any number the person gives you. Instead, look it up yourself online. Search for clues, play detective, and above all, block the person if they don't block you first. Again, real people who travel abroad for business or work on offshore oil rigs are taken care of. Scammers, however, using fake profiles will always come up with an excuse, including being sick and needing your financial help. Block them and move on.